everybody, welcome to another episode after a very long time of JWA Fixes, where today I'll be doing the Velociraptor. So I'm sorry this one took such a long time to get to. It's just that I've been trying very hard to come up with a design for the the original Raptors I made for this update. I mean for this video, but then I just couldn't come up with a design no matter how hard I tried. And I decided that it's been like quite a few months now, and I don't think I want to keep everyone waiting any longer. Well, because there's a lot of things, because then after this, I can go to the Discord, do a few videos there, and then I can cover something random, and then I'll do some things that I've already done, and then I can get back on track. So, let's get going. The Raptors. First of all, I gotta find the ability High Pounce to get to my first few Raptors. Oh, I've actually got quite a few in here. Quite a few I forgot I made. Okay, let's start with the OG Velociraptor. So as you can see, it's the same differences, like insane damage, incredibly pitiful health, same abilities. The only difference this time is that I just increased its speed. And I swear I did this way before Pyroraptor. But because I was like thinking, the only thing that makes oh dear. How strange, I've barely spoken a word all day and my throat already hurts. How is that possible? What was I saying? Oh yes, right. Basically, the thing about Raptors, their thing is that they have low damage, but high speed. Their speed is their best stat. However, now there are Gorgonopsids and a lot of creatures who have also 132 speed, or something like that. And they have better stats and abilities, which makes the Raptors irrelevant. Incredibly irrelevant. Since their health is just so bad. So, my counter to that, because like Raptors could be good, at least make them a little better at... A way to buff them is like, increase their speed. It'll make them faster than all the other Cunnings, making them better than them. Well, more efficient at fighting them. And then Resilience, it makes no difference to them, because they'll just slow them down. Actually, this was even before the Resilient update, so... Well, you know, say no different to a Resilient creature with a Deceleration or something. And Fierce creatures, it's going to be like... They won't know the difference either. The only difference is that a lot of faster Cunnings are going to have to worry about Velociraptor again. Deinonychus is about the same thing, except I boosted its speed to 135, and then it gave it a distraction resistance. And that's basically what I did for a lot of the Raptors, where I just boosted their speed to at least above, like, 132 is the minimum speed for a Raptor, in like a non-hybrid Raptor. And that's basically the logic I'm going with. And then this is now further established that Ludia could do something like this, because Pyroraptor is a thing. Unfortunately, I highly doubt they ever will show some love to these older creatures, because they're old. Everyone has them. We can't buff a creature that someone already has. We have to make all of our new creatures powerful so that people will go for them instead. That's why, well, unless it's like uniques and apexes, because those they get buffed a lot. Like, have you seen the apexes now? All the Ref, Hast, and Hydroboa have been buffed completely. Now they're really strong. Utahraptor, which is another, I guarantee this will come to the game eventually, and then and maybe it'll get all the skins of the rest of the Utahraptor pack. Who knows? I don't. That's what I'm hoping anyway. 130, it's slower than the other two Raptors, and, well, more health and more attack, though. And then just regular abilities. Nothing too special. And then that's basically it. And then here's Pyroraptor Gen 2, which is irrelevant now, because now I know that they could just make a skin. But I decided to throw it in here anyway, because this is what I decided the Pyroraptor would look like. It's the slowest of the Raptors, and it just has, like, regular abilities, except Flightless Strike. It has Flightless Strike, because it is feathered, and it just makes sense to have something like that. I think it just has I just copied the exact same stats of the Pyroraptor, and then just gave it different abilities. That's what I did for Pyroraptor Gen 2. This is definitely something that'll never come to the game. Moving on to the rares, you can see a few things. I've been doing a lot of things here, such as making some Jurassic World the Game hybrids in this game, seeing how they would look. But anyway, let's look at some of the Raptor squad, starting with Charlie. It's, again, boosted speed, critical impact, immune to distractions. Actually, no, critical impact is a new thing I added to it, because that was what made Charlie unique. It had critical impact, but then they just replaced it with cunning impact, and it was literally the same thing as Utahraptor, and it's like, that wasn't very good. Boosted its speed. I forgot what your original speed is, because no one ever uses... I've never seen anyone use Charlie or Echo. I've only seen them use Delta, and even that's pretty rare now. I'm pretty sure I didn't touch these stats at all. All I did was... The only stat I touched was this and this. And also gave it this. Clever Pounce. Which is, again, something new I've added to all Raptors that aren't a common. So, it's basically precise Pounce, but it also gives a 50% chance to dodge for, like, 1 turn. And that is basically something I've added to every single Raptor above the common rarity. So, if I hop over to Delta over here, then you will see it's the same thing. Boosted speed, clever pounce, and immune to distractions, just to make you a better cunning. Because right now, you're not a good cunning. You're trash. All the Raptors are trash, except maybe Utahraptor. That's literally the only Raptor in this game I won't consider trash. That isn't a hybrid. Echo, same thing. Speed, and... Oh, I gave you cunning. Or did you already have cunning? Let me compare. Looking around, yeah, faster speed, immune to distractions, and no, you already had Cunning Strike. Oh, I guess they added that to make you a little more desirable, but you're still too slow for your compared to your sisters. Which is why my Echo is better, obviously. Now this is something I've recently added because it's like I decided I wanted to do some stuff in the JWA toolbox, and I'm like, oh hey, what about the chaos effect? I already made Deinonychus, so let's make Paradeinonychus. And all the others that I thought were relevant enough. I didn't make all of them, like Ankylorhamnodon. I already made a lot of... There's already a few, one too many Ankylosaurus hybrids. So anyway, let's see. This is a pretty tanky... Wow, okay. But you are slow. Evasive Strike, High Pounce, Lesser Group Heal, Group Cleansing Impact. No resistances whatsoever. And no portrait because you have to... I think you can just look up Paradeinonychus, Deinonychus, and you'll see... images of it. This is like my 3rd Deinonychus hybrid. What? Hang on, there's like Pocondactylus, and then there's, I made Deinonychus, and this is Paradeinonychus. Okay, yeah, only 3. And of course, I was gonna be biased to my boy Utah, and I gave it like an extra critical chance. I gave it a complete overhaul. Completely changed everything. Clever Pounce, High Pounce, Minimal Speed Up Strike, High Speed, High Damage, well, actually stats are the same. I just boosted Speed, Critical Chance, reworked all of his abilities, and gave it Distraction Immunity, just because I love my boy Utah. I love the Utahraptor a lot. Here's Blue, who has been given, lots of speed. I was tempted to give her armor again, but I decided, nah, we don't, she doesn't need armor. There are other dinosaurs out there who are better suited for armor, especially since Blue doesn't really have any armor to begin with. As for abilities, I replaced Cunning Strike with Distraction in exchange for, well, okay, so I'm sorry, I'm saying and ugh swell a lot. But Clever Pounce, Evasive Impact is the same. Distraction, that was replaced from Cunning Strike you had before, which I replaced with a Bleed Resistance and a Swap in Prowl, which is an ability, it's basically, it's sort of like the regular Prowl, except it's like a 100% chance to dodge. Maybe I should change that to 75? Nah. Ludia's making all sorts of OP abilities. I might as well take off the gloves too. Do whatever the heck I want. I want these dinosaurs to be OP and good, I'm gonna make them OP and good. Utahraptor doesn't really need a buff, because it's already pretty good, but I gave it the same treatment I gave all my Raptors, better speed, and a better pounce. Everything else stayed the same, because the Utahraptor is literally the only good Raptor that isn't a hybrid. Ghost is, again, like Pyroraptor Gen 2, could be irrelevant, but at the same time, she could be... I don't know what Ghost's gender is just yet, so I'm just gonna call it an it. Ghost could very well be, like, added to the game just like Blue, because I feel like that does make sense. But I would not be opposed if Ghost came as a skin. But either way, these are my stats for Ghost. I think I just copied Blue and then decreased the speed, gave you a better crit chance, and then changed your abilities around. Impact and Run, Group Accelerate, Cunning Strike, and then, oh wow, I gave you loads of resistances, actually. Speed, Vulnerable, why did I do that? I honestly don't remember. It's been a while since I made Ghost a while ago. Wait, haven't I showed off Ghost before? I must have. in the Dominion video. Yeah. But either way, you're probably never coming to the game. You'll probably be a skin, as in a Utahraptor. If you're wondering what I mean by skin, it's just that, like, they're in the data mine, they teased that that dinosaurs would be skin. There's something about skins coming to the game. So that's something I'm really excited to see. And yeah, really hoping to see some skins, because I've already talked about this in depth in another video. So yeah, really excited for skins. Really hope to see all sorts of colorful combinations. Hopefully, after they do a lot of, like, movie exclusive skins, they'll also get original. Like, maybe we can get, like, a super feathered T-Rex, or like an Oviraptor with, like, an oily... just go get creative with the colors of the dinosaurs. I remember I gave Pyroraptor a buff, and then I showed it off in the Dominion video. If you want to see that, but then here it is again. Lightweight pounce replaces regular pounce instead of clever pounce as well. I wanted to give Pyroraptor a sense of individuality to show, because it's a Dominion dinosaur, so it's gotta have some sort of uniqueness to it, and I gave it lightweight pounce, which is basically like a raking claws with 1 turn distraction. So yeah, also 132 speed, boosted it, and then minimal critical counter and immune to distractions. Bravo, Pyroraptor. Troodon's another one I wanted to give some individuality to. I would actually pay money. Well, not really, but I would love it if they brought in the pale-eyed Jurassic Park game Troodons. You know what I'm talking about. You know, those horrifying ones. I love those Troodons. I know it's not realistic, but I would love that to be a skin. Just some way to be a skin. I also don't like how Troodon is just like copy-paste of the Raptor animation. I really do think Troodon should have been its own thing. But, you know, it's here, and I gave it its own... I should have called it Venomous Pounce, not Bleeding Pounce, but I'm too lazy to change it. It's basically a pounce, reduced damage, and then it just bleeds for like 2 turns. Immune to distractions, I gave it some bleed, and vulnerable... Oh, I gave it heavy resistances. Mostly because I wanted this to be like, oh yeah, I changed you to Cutting Fierce. So that you can be like... that bleeding Troodon that I really love. And Clever Pounce, because Troodon's a clever boy. And here's another one from the Chaos Effect, or the Chaos, you know what I mean. Buff and Velociraptor Archaeopteryx Hybrid, Velocirapteryx, Buff and Strike, Evasive Impact, High Pounce, Rampage and Run. I did not make you a flock, because the toy looks just like a raptor with feathers. Which, honestly, I just realized that that's basically just a feathered raptor. Interesting. Maybe I should rework you into a flock. But, you know, I kind of like the idea of just making you just a regular non-flock. Showing that not every flock has to make a flock hybrid. Even though I'm sure a lot of people would prefer that. No, would they prefer that? I don't know. Like, we don't want... Colhast is already OP, and they recently buffed it by making Restricted Group Distraction a better move. So yeah. I just realized how many epic raptors I made. Oh well, too late to turn back now. None of those are ever coming to the game anyway. Alloraptor. I changed you a lot to be more akin to your original counterpart, such as Definite Strike, Clever Pounce, because you kind of need some form of high damage. Oh wow, I gave you... So basically, when the thing comes in, go for Clever Pounce, then you go for one of these 2 abilities, and you're going to deal massive damage. I kept everything else the same, though. Because you have really good stats already, and good resistances. All I did was just change your abilities, these 2 abilities, a bit, to make you a lot better in a chance of survival. Yeah, Alloraptor. I love this thing. I love it a lot. Deinonychus would technically be an Indoraptor animation, but I kinda... I decided that since Indoraptor is technically a raptor, I want to include it in this in this little video, instead of making it its own separate video, because I have no plans to buff Pyrolith or Pyrrhotaurus, because those are all pretty... No, maybe they do need a buff. Should I? Yeah, I'll leave you here anyway, since you are technically a raptor, and I'll include both Indoraptors as well. I've covered Deinonychus in the past, but I have given it a slight buff, like Cleansing, Shattering Strike, Clever Pounce, Group Sidestep now has a cooldown of 1, and then Immune to Distractions and Deceleration, because Ludia just makes everything OP, so I'm gonna make my things OP as well. Utahraptor Gen 2. I did not change your stats. I did, however, give you Clever Pounce, so that you have a better just a better ability to have. Indoraptor is actually a kind of a mixed bag. Like, sometimes it's really good, but sometimes it's really bad. So this will make it borderline okay. I've also given you a bleed resistance and a better stun resistance because there's really no reason for you to be able to be stunned this thing. So yeah, that's basically all I did to change you. Granted, do I really want to see this thing back in the meta? Does everyone still have nightmares looking at this Indoraptor anymore? It's been like 2 years since its reign of terror ended, so I feel like it would like giving it a slight buff. Like, they gave Dracorex a buff, and now it's like an okay creature. It's not too overpowered, it's not too underpowered. So I feel like Indoraptor and a bunch of other creatures like Ardentis Maxima, Proceratomimus should also get that sort of treatment. Give them slight buffs to make them a little better, but don't make them so good that they break the game like Justicarnibus and Pyroraptor. Pyroraptor actually got a pretty okay nerf. I kind of over-dramatized it, saying that it's dead, but it's actually it's still pretty good. It's still useful. So yeah, do stuff like that, Ludia. I nearly missed you. Pyroraptor. Let's see. No change in... Did I boost your speed? I don't remember if I boosted you. Let me check. I'm going to check real quick. No, I spelled that wrong. There we go. I did. I boosted your speed just by a little bit. And then I gave you a few resistances, critical reduction and damage reduction. So not immune, but still a good amount. Daring Strike over Cunning Strike, because I feel like Daring Strike, they really should start widespreading a lot of these abilities. They only gave it to like a few and then just left them hanging. I was really hoping that one day they would rebalance everything with Daring Strike, Determined Strike, and Heavy Strike, but they haven't done that yet, which is kind of sad to me. Clever Pounce over High Pounce, Distracting Impact, these abilities are the same, except I have Fierce Impact over Defense Shattering, so that you can cleanse Vulnerable, so that you can earn your name Fierce, because this one is literally just 3 cunning abilities and 1 defense shattering ability. So yeah, you're now more fierce than you should be. And Utahraptor, I've actually added its resilient half, like it was originally supposed to be. Wait, what did you have before? You had instant charge. Did you have... You had Decelerating Strike. Yeah, that's what made you special. And then they just turned you into the typical cunning, and you just dropped out of the meta. No one's seen this thing in ages. Boosted its... I gave you... You already had armor. I boosted your critical chance. Determined Strike, which is... This is a nerfed version of Determined Strike for me. What did I do to change you? I think I just added reduced damage. It can no longer, like, remove ferocity. It can or critical chance. It can just decrease damage. Actually, it doesn't affect critical chance at all. Yeah, that's basically my version of Utahraptor. Don't know why Determined Strike gets to do everything when all the... Why should Determined Strike get to do everything when the other 2 strikes pretty much are just like mixed bags? They don't really do as much as they should compared to Determined Strike. Clever Pounce, High Pounce, just carrying over from my Utahraptor biased, and Instant Charge, as well as Distraction Immunity. Still terrible health, but still it'll make you a lot... That's the thing about Raptors. Should have mentioned this at the beginning of the video, where they can just switch. They have lower damage outputs in exchange for like double rampage, and they can just switch between them over and over again. That was actually a thing that made the Smilonemes really good. It could just go for rampage, and then get out of there. That was what made it special, and then they just nerfed it. They changed it. Now to go over some unique... Oh, hang on, I gotta scratch my back. Unique raptors that I've made up. I've made up quite a few, actually. First of all, carrying over Carnoraptor with a twist. So it is Toro, because I think we're all done with the regular Carnotaurs getting a bunch of hybrids. Although again, Toro's like another one that could just come out as a skin. But this is just my version. I don't think they will ever add Carnoraptor to the game. They kind of did this with a lot of things. Like, we won't get Ankylodocus because we have Notapatosaurus, and we won't get Spinoraptor because we have that bloody Spinotauraptor, which I'm not a fan of, and then we don't have Carnoraptor thanks to Alloraptor here taking its place. So I'm making up my own version, and it's got Definite Strike, Clever Pounce, Rending Takedown, Group Instant Invincibility, Camouflage on Escape, and a bunch of resistances depending on the 2 creatures I just mentioned. Yeah, and it's a pretty tanky one too. Not a tanky one, just a really strong one. Not immune to it does resist distractions by a heavy amount, so a dangerous creature to come across, especially since it's not immune to deceleration, so you could slow this thing down and take it out. Good to know. And the only other unique raptor I made, this is the one I was having so much trouble with. I couldn't come up with a good design without just making it look like Utah Zainreborn with plates. So, unfortunately, I do not have a drawing for these raptors. Very sorry. But I really didn't want to let anyone wait any longer than they had to. So here we go. Determined Strike, Clever Pounce, New Thagomizer, Greater Stunning Rampage, Decelerating Counter, Swap In Headbutt, and some resistances. Here's its description. This raptor is protected on all sides, a Thagomizer behind, and a Steratopsian face in front. These are necessary when sparring with rival raptors. So, it's slower than most cunning creatures, and it has damage. It's lower damage and a good amount of HP. It does have armor. It's just made to be it's just like an okay creature. I didn't want to make it too OP. Not sure it's anything too special. It doesn't have any new abilities except for Clever Pounce. So yeah, that's just Velociraptor. Made from Stegoceratops Gen 2, which I'll have to cover in a future video. Nearly forgot to do the other Indoraptor. So, what did I do? I changed it to, now Indoraptor's another dinosaur that was, like, super OP back in the day. But then the way that was back when Ludia really liked to nerf their creatures. And, well, Indoraptor's also really bad now. I don't think I've ever had trouble with an Indoraptor. Like, the regular Indoraptor is just so bad. So I gave it a slight buff, because now that there's all these resilient creatures that can just undo Cautious Strike, it's like, yeah, it's not going to be as big. So what did I do to change it? First of all, I gave it Cautious Strike, didn't make any changes to its stats, gave it Defense Shattering Rampage, changed Evasive Stance a little bit, so that it cleanses all negative, it just cleanses itself, and then it gives it like has a better cooldown, basically. And then, what else did I do? Oh yeah, I added Fake Out, like a new ability for the Indoraptor. This is not an on escape, this is like a, sort of like a survival move. Something that I feel like they would add to the game. I thought they would have added to the game by now, like a creature with like it's similar to Absorb, but it's like, it only triggers at the last HP. Survive with 1 HP when receiving damage, and then deal a counterattack, basically. The only way to avoid this is like, I guess if you bleed it out, because then it can't, you know, it follows the counterattack rules, except it only triggers when it's, like, dying and stuff. And then I just gave it some bleed resistance due to the loss of Cunning Strike, and that's basically it. That's all I did to Indoraptor. And finally, the one Apex Raptor I've made, not a hybrid, it is Utahraptor. This is another one I was having trouble trying to come up with a design for. I couldn't, I just kept making a regular raptor with just black feathers. It just looked too much like Utahraptor. And then I thought, hey, why don't I try making a raptor that doesn't have, like, feathers? But then I just can't draw that, because it's like, I can't look at a raptor without feathers. It just looks naked. Especially the original raptors from Jurassic Park. Those are some very naked raptors, which is why I actually like Blue and the Tiger Raptors, especially the Tiger Raptors, a lot more, because they have a few more patterns that make them a little more appealing. But anyway, Utahraptor is a tad OP. It has gone through some reworks. This is actually Utahraptor version 3, I think. I don't know. It's super high critical chance. Loads of HP for a Cunning anyway. Actually, pretty low HP compared to the other Cunnings now. It is it faster? Let me compare quickly. No, we'll compare later, because I wanted to make like an okay hybrid, but then anyway, Crafty Strike, I think, actually, you used to have a ton of HP. I mean, a ton of damage. You would have 1800, but I changed that. Crafty Strike, Clever Pounce, Cunning Rampage, and Clever Cloak. This is the new ability here. Cloak times 2, damage on next attack, 75% chance to dodge, like the usual Cloak, and then it just deals a distraction, just like Clever Pounce. And then here's his resistance: immune to bleed, huge rend resistance, sort of resist stun, sort of resist vulnerable, sort of almost resist swap, and then no distraction resistance, although seeing how Hydroboa and Host Maximus can now resist distractions or are immune to it, then I think maybe I should give you some form of distraction, but then combined with that cloak, you might be too overpowered, so I'm going to leave you the way you are. Utahraptor translates to Life Thief, which is a fitting title for this vicious predator. It has grown a taste for human flesh, and only human flesh. Other dinosaurs are at ease around it because it will refuse to eat them in favor of devouring the poor unfortunate souls who cross it. Basically like your typical evil raptor. You know, raptors are already like, oh, kill the humans. And then now I'm just making my own raptor that's just like, kill the humans. Anyway, guys, that is all for this episode of JWA Fixes. I'm so sorry it took this long, and I'm so sorry that I wasn't able to come up with a drawing. But I promise that I won't. This was just something that's happening with raptors, where I just have trouble coming up with good designs without making them just look like ordinary raptors, or raptors that already exist in the game. Because there are actually quite a few raptors in this game. Well, unfortunately, 5 of them are Velociraptors, but I wouldn't be opposed to seeing more raptors, like Bambiraptor or Dromaeosaurus. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. See you in the next episode where we will be doing Discord ideas. Goodbye.